Well, where to begin? It's been a few weeks for sure since my last blog. Honestly, it's crazy, and yet it's awesome. So I've been working really, really hard at compiling some statistics, but I wanted to start this blog talking about kind of one of the struggles that I've had this year, and just the fact that introducing a fully blended class, all of my classes, has been a little stressful. And I know I've been really transparent and really open since the beginning of the year, talking about our struggles and our victories. But I think at this point, we're just a little ways away from being at the end of third quarter. And I just want to be really open and honest about the fact that this has been a very challenging year. It has been very stressful in some ways. There's a lot to do to get a blended classroom ready. For me, it's created different behavioral problems too. I wouldn't say worse, but different. And so I'm having to change how I do classroom management and change how I do behavioral management because we're interacting a little bit differently than we did before. So definitely have been some major challenges. It's definitely been a huge learning curve. One thing though that's been nice all the way along though is that I know that I don't have to do all of this next year or the year after or the year after that or the year after that. So I know that I am laying groundwork that each year I can just tweak a little bit now that I've done all the foundation work. So there is that. And sometimes I think as teachers, we walk home during the day and we're just like, why do I do this? This is so stressful. This is so difficult some days. But that's why I wanted to share this on the week that I really started sharing stats. Because I'm the math teacher, so I love numbers. But I'm going to show you some numbers that just, they make me smile every time. They encourage me. I'm so excited. So let me show you some of my pre and post test scores here. So this is a graph that I recently created. This is for my Math 2 class. And you can see that in Module 3 and Module 4, my pre-test scores are just tanking, like 16%, 12%. I do want you to know we adopted a new curriculum this year, Mathematic Vision Project. The state of Idaho is really trying to step up in the area of mathematics. And so in our school, this is what we chose to adopt. And I will tell you, over the summer, our math teachers, when we were discussing this, we anticipated it taking 3 years for our students to be able to step up to this level, and that we were going to have to adjust this curriculum along the way. But in 3 years, we would get there. Well, let me just show you, the pre-tests say, yes, that's true. They are way behind. But look at those post-test scores. And I didn't change the assessments. I actually gave the assessment that came with the curriculum. The students actually did so good through the modules that, I mean, look at that, 88%, 87%, absolutely shocking. I have been shocked. I'm able to keep track of them so much better through the module to see how they're doing, what they're doing. It just helps me respond to their needs so much more quickly. And then I really wanted to show this Module 5. I was really excited about this. I just finished this, I don't know, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. But in Module 5, I did the pretest and I was shocked. I'm like, holy cow, we scored a 59, which is way higher, obviously, than these other pretests that I'm seeing. And so what I did was I just spent a week and a half on Module 5, and we kind of beefed up the skills that I noticed they scored low on, re-hit those. I noticed in most of it they just needed some reteaching. They'd been exposed to it, but we needed to refresh that in their memories. And so look at this, that post-test score is a 95%. I was so excited that I got through a whole module in a week and a half, and we were able to move on to new content that they needed to cover. So we refreshed and retaught for a week and a half, and then we got to move on. I would have never done that without a pretest. I would have just taught the module like normal, and they would have gotten great test scores, and I would have been like, awesome, they did such a good job. But in this situation, I got to move them onto more content even more quickly. So really, really exciting, great scores. Let me show you some data from my Math 3 class here in just a second. So for Math 3, I have 2 modules worth of data. you can see that again, so those pre-test scores are very low. And again, look at those post-test scores. I'm so incredibly excited. These scores are amazing. I mean, normally you kind of anticipate a pre-test being in the 50 to 70% range, but to have, you know, what, 3 out of these 5 pre-tests that we're looking at were under 20%. I mean, that is insane. So you can see the scores, they speak for themselves. It's really awesome. So I want to remind you on the video of some things that I already know and think about when I'm looking at these scores, but I think they'll make them more powerful for you. On my tests, there are usually only a couple questions that are multiple choice. I require short answer questions. They have to be the exactly correct answer. So not only are my students doing great, but they are at the upper end of great. They are getting answers exactly correct. They're not getting partial credit. They're getting it right or they're getting it wrong. And they are learning the content to the level that they can get 88s as a class, 94s as a class average with perfectly correct answers. To me, that's one of the most powerful things I can share with you about what blended learning's brought to me is this accuracy piece. And they're still succeeding. They're still excelling, even with me requiring that. Yeah, has the year been challenging? You bet. Do I feel insanely stressed some days? Absolutely. Do I believe next year's going to be way better? Yes, and thank the Lord God for that. But I also sit down and look at these scores, and it encourages me. I know that even though it might not feel fluffy and fun sometimes this year, I am succeeding at being a teacher, and my students are learning. And honestly, my students are learning better than I've ever been able to help them learn before. I'm being a better teacher this year than I've ever been because of what blended learning is doing for me. And you can see that too. I do student surveys after every module, and students say things like, I didn't recognize anything on this pretest. I guessed on everything. But on the post-test, I totally understand everything we're doing. Or they'll say things like, you know, I kind of understood it when we started, and I don't think that I'm perfect at this point, but I do think I understand the content, you know, for the most part. They grade themselves from a 1 to 5, 1 being I knew nothing, and 5 being I totally have mastered the concepts. And so there's a lot of self-reflection there too. With Brain Honey, again, with my LMS, that takes me 3 minutes in a class, and everybody has submitted a survey. I can go look at them whenever I want to. Really, blended learning has made this jump possible. Blended learning has made it possible for me to get my kids to a place in 1 year that I anticipated it taking 3 years. Because it's helping me correct things, it's helping me give feedback to kids when I'm only one person and I can't get all the way around the classroom. It's helping me give kids multiple tries so that they can get exactly the right answer instead of on their homework. They get several attempts to keep trying to get that question right. And it has to be perfectly right for them to get it right. Everybody has a 70% benchmark. If your assignment doesn't hit a 70, you will be in here at lunch during lunch study hall and you will be bringing that up. And honestly, that doesn't happen very often. Sometimes they're in here for missing assignments. We do that in our school, but for the most part, they're all scoring 80s, 90s, and mostly 100% on those assignments. They keep going at it. They keep working because they want to see those hundreds. They want to see that 1 out of 1 on every question. And blended learning let me be this kind of teacher. Blended learning let my students jump to this level this fast. Without blended learning, I couldn't have done this on my own. I couldn't have taken students to this level. Has it been stressful? Absolutely. Have there been days that I walk home going, what the heck am I doing? Yes. But every module, I get to look back at what my students wrote about their own success. And every module, I get to look at those scores and go, I cannot believe we're here already. I cannot believe that I didn't have to modify that module and they still were able to score 88s as a class, 94s, and a bunch of them got 100%. It's mind-blowing. It's rewarding. It's amazing. I always remind myself of the light on the horizon because next year is going to be easier, but it is worth it. Even in those stressful weeks, even when, I'm 3/4 of the way through the year and I spent a lot of time over the summer, and I won't lie, I'm getting tired. I am tired. I have worked hard this year, a lot harder than normal, and I work hard normally. And, but the reward is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I've watched these kids step up an entire level, and sometimes it's kicking and screaming for a little while, but they've gotten it and they're learning, and the data shows that. If you'd like to see more data, broke down detailed data, samples of student responses, please let me know. I would love to share those with you, and I will be back with more statistics and more information in the next video.